Any? All right. So I met Raymond, about 1996, and I had been about 7 years into kind of a personal quest and passion for health. And I saw him lecture in San Jose, and went up and made a connection, and we started talking and becoming friends, and him becoming a mentor to me. I went to a lecture that he did at UCSF about a year later, and he said, you know, there's only one disease. And I like simple. I don't like complicated stuff. So, you know, answering the question, what is health, is a really important question, because I think a lot of us don't have a concept of what health is. And so Raymond presented this model, one disease, two causes, and 6 pathways. And I was sitting there dawdling as a creative person and kind of drew out the triangle and gave it to Raymond, and he's been using that ever since as kind of the logo depiction, logo, and the model. It's in all of his books there. And so we became friends, and I worked with him on his first book, Never Be Sick Again, which was published in September 2002, and helped him with his companies a couple times. Since then, Raymond's written 4 other books, so he's got 5 books. His latest book, which he has here, The Great American Health Hoax, The Surprising Truth About How Modern Medicine Keeps You Sick. Raymond is my mentor and my friend, and has a very in-depth model, or an in-depth idea of the very minute details of the health equation, but put in a simple way that all of us can understand. So without further ado, my friend and mentor, Raymond Francis. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Wow, good to be here again. This is an incredible group, and the energy in here is just fabulous. And to be in the little circle, to participate in that is just a magnificent experience. We should do it every day. You give us more energy. Anyway, I'm here. I have a limited number of copies of my previous book, Never Feel Old Again, which explains why aging is a big mistake and why you shouldn't make that mistake.
Do we have a choice?
Yes.
We have a choice, right?
Yes.
And my newest book, The Great American Health Hoax, which is the distilled wisdom of all my other books, plus all the newest technology, plus a maintenance list that tells you how to maintain the human body. You know, I like old cars, and I go to old car shows. And you can go and see a car that's over 100 years old, and it looks like new, and it runs like new. And so you have to ask, well, why is that happening? Why is a 100-year-old car looking like new and running like new? And the answer is somebody has maintained it. Somebody's done a lot of work on it and maintained that car, and it looks new and it runs like new. You are no different than the car. At over 100 years old, you can look like new and run like new if you do the maintenance. The problem is we don't know how to do the maintenance. Nobody ever tells us how to do it. Nobody wants to tell us how to do it. And so we don't. And we age prematurely. And we get old really, really, really fast. And today we're speeding this up. People are getting older faster and faster and faster. And the result is we become frail. We lose function. We don't see as well. We don't hear as well. We don't walk as well. We don't move around. We lose function. We even can become disabled and require others to care for us because we cannot care for ourselves. So this is what aging is about in America today. It's about frailty, and it's about disability. It's not about vibrant health, which is what it should be about. That 100-year-old car is in vibrant health because it's been well maintained. Well, if you buy a new car, the new car comes with a maintenance list. It tells you, change the oil every 3,000 miles, and so you rotate the tires and change the oil filter and change the air filter, and you're going to need some new fan belts, and you're going to need some new brake linings, and if you maintain the car, it just keeps on running. We're born, where's the maintenance list? We don't come with a maintenance list. So that's what I've done in here is I put in the maintenance list for the human body as to how to maintain it so that you can stay young and healthy. Now, I wrote this whole book. This was published when? Well, a while ago, maybe 2013. So this was published 2 years ago. So I was here 2 years ago. Published 2 years ago, and I have been studying for years about the fact that there is a difference between your biological age and your chronological age. So you can become chronologically older, but you don't have to become biologically older. If you become chronologically older one day at a time, today you're going to become a day older. If you become biologically one day older today, well, that's not too bad. But if you become 3 days older today, or 10 days older today, that is bad. If you become only a half a day older today, that's good. And if you don't age at all, that's even better. There was a brand new study just published, and it was just reported in Tuesday's Wall Street Journal. And I saw it in the Wall Street Journal. I said, well, that's not interesting. They're finally doing some research to figure it out. And I'll read you what it says here. Everybody grows older at a different pace, according to a recent study that found the processes of aging can begin fairly early in life. They took almost 1,000 people, 1,000 men actually, and then they measured their age at age 26. They were all the same age, 1,000 people the same age. Age 26, age 32, and age 38. When these people were age 38, they measured them, their biological age ranged from 28 to 61. There they are, 38 years old, biological age, 28 to 61. We're actually measuring, I have a friend of mine who specializes in aging medicine. He actually measures 30-year-olds who are biologically 80.
Wow.
Yeah. A few years ago, we measured a group of 10-year-olds. They were overweight, overweight 10-year-olds. They measured at age 45.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're 45 years old when you're 10, what are you going to be when you're 50? And the medical journals are saying this is going to be the first generation of American children that will die younger than their parents because the children are so old and so sick.
Wow.
Can these children reverse that, if they change
Well,
their
yes.
lifestyle?
Yes, well, exactly. That 100-year-old car probably didn't stay young. It probably got old and somebody got the old car and said, I'm going to fix this thing up. I'm going to fix you up too. I had to fix me up. For those of you who don't know my story, at age 48, I almost died. I came within that far from death. My death was a medical certainty. And at the last moment, I used my own knowledge of biochemistry to save my life. And then it took me 2 years of hard work to restore my health to where I could function normally once again. I was dying of liver failure. My liver had completely gone. The liver was dead. Dead liver, you don't live.
Yeah.
I've completely rebuilt my liver. I have a new liver. It's as good as new, works like new, it's fabulous. I've rebuilt my arteries. I now have the arteries of a 22-year-old. I am 78 years old.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Here, here.
Um,
You worked at it.
My goal is still to have the arteries of a teenager within the next several years. So, can you rebuild, can you become biologically younger? And the answer is yes, you can, if you do the maintenance. But nobody tells us how to do that. So how do you do the maintenance? Well, my contribution to all this is to take all of this very, very, very complex biochemistry and molecular biology and reduce it down to very, very simple concepts that I actually teach to 10-year-olds. So that's a pretty simple concept. Anybody can understand that and can work with it. And here is a very simple concept. There's only one disease. And that's kind of mind-blowing because the World Health Organization says there's over 12,500 diseases. But there aren't. There's just one disease. So once, nobody can get their arms around 12,500 diseases, believe me, nobody, zero. So who can get their arms around one disease? Anybody. So we simplify to make it so that people can actually deal with it. So what is the one disease? Well, we're all made of very, very small microscopic units of life called cells. We all started life in our mother as one cell. A bacterium is a single-cell organism. Algae is a single-cell organism. We started life as a single cell. And now we're tens of trillions of cells. We are a community of cells. We are not a body. We think of ourselves as a body. We're not a body. We are a community of individual cells that are all acting together in our behalf. When we were one cell, if the one cell was healthy, we were healthy. Now that we're multi-trillions of cells, if all your trillions of cells are healthy, you will be healthy. The only way you can be sick is when a large number of cells malfunction. Then you'll begin to notice symptoms. Maybe you'll be tired. That was my first symptom, of fatigue. That's the biggest complaint made to doctors is fatigue. Or maybe your skin isn't right, maybe your hair isn't right, maybe you have a pain or an ache or something. When cells start to malfunction, you start to notice things. And the more cells that malfunction, the worse it gets. And then pretty soon you have what we call a diagnosable disease. But you really don't have a diagnosable disease at all. What you have is a very large number of cells that are malfunctioning. And they are producing symptoms. And they can produce thousands of symptoms depending on how and why they're malfunctioning. And then our physicians love to confuse themselves and think that all those thousands of symptoms are thousands of different diseases. They're not.
Yeah.
They're just symptoms from one disease, a malfunctioning cell. Well, cells malfunction for only two reasons. One is they're not getting what they need. They have a grocery list. They're producing, there's 100,000 chemical reactions taking place in every cell every second. 100,000 chemical reactions taking place every second of every day. There's about 6 trillion different operations going on inside a single cell every second of every day. And you've got about 100 trillion cells. And you've got about 6 trillion operations going on in 100 trillion. That's a lot.
They're really working for you.
And so the cells need nutrients. They need raw materials to do their jobs. You need to make a hormone. Well, what do you make it out of? You make it out of stuff. Where does the stuff come from? It comes from your diet. And you need to make a neurotransmitter so you can think and learn and remember. How do you do that? Well, you make it out of stuff. And the stuff comes from your diet. You want to make an antibody to protect you from infection. You make that out of stuff. It comes from your diet. So you have to deliver the stuff. And if you don't, you will be sick. If you're missing even one raw material, you will eventually get sick. And the average American is missing several. There's a brand new study just out that 92% of all Americans are short at least one. 92% of all Americans. So you have to learn how to eat a better diet. You have to get on a good supplement program. I make supplements. I make some of the best supplements in the world. But you have to be on a good diet. You have to take a good supplement program to make sure you're delivering the groceries. Your job is to deliver the groceries. That's who you are. You're a grocery delivery person. And you don't even get paid for it. But that's who you are. So deliver the groceries. Now the second thing you have to do is you have to keep the cell free of toxins, because toxins shut down the metabolic machinery. So you can deliver all of the groceries, but if the machinery to make the antibody or to make the hormone or to make the whatever is not working, it's just like not having the raw materials. The raw materials just sit there, don't get used. So you have to keep the machinery working, the metabolic machinery, and toxins shut down and interfere with the metabolic machinery. And we are all in toxic overload.
Intoxicated.
The average American is a toxic waste dump.
Oh.
And you have to learn how to cope with that. And it's easy to do. We live in a toxic world. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. About 80% of those toxins are under your personal control. So if you learn to exercise that control, you can cut your toxic load by 80%. And that's very significant because that reduces it down to where the body can handle it. The body can handle toxins. The problem is it's in toxic overload.
How much you get.
So if you reduce the load, you can then handle it, get your metabolic machinery working. So if you do these things, if you do these two things, and I have done them, and get your metabolic machinery function again and deliver the raw materials, you shift back into what we call repair mode, and then you start to repair. And then you can become biologically younger, and you don't get biologically older. There were actually some people in this study who over a period of 10 years didn't age at all.
Wow.
Didn't age at all over a period of 10 years. And here I have my friend measuring 30-year-olds who are 80 years old. Those people, they're not getting one day older every day. They're getting a lot of days older every day. Because they're not delivering the raw materials, and they've shut their machinery down. They're not doing the repairs. Your job is to do the repairs. If you do that, you stay biologically young, and if you're biologically young, guess what? You don't get sick. So here I am, 78. I don't have an ache or a pain in my body. I have boundless energy, never tired, never tired. My mind is as sharp as a tack. I got the arteries of a 22-year-old. In the past 30 years, I've had 3 health problems. 3 health problems. In 30 years, I had 3 colds.
3 what?
Colds.
Oh, colds. That's a health problem,
I
huh?
thought you said colons.
Yeah. And I have a good excuse for each cold. Having a cold is inexcusable and irresponsible. And what you have to understand is that every time you have a cold, you get older. Because a cold produces a flood of free radicals, and some of those free radicals do permanent damage to DNA. That makes you older. So every time you have a cold, you're getting older. You don't want to get older, so don't have a cold. There's no reason to have it. There's no compelling reason, and I use these words carefully, there's no compelling reason why anyone should have a cold, or why anyone should have cancer, heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, Alzheimer's, or any other of these chronic diseases. These are things that we are creating ourselves out of ignorance, but we're creating them ourselves because we know how to prevent these things. The knowledge is there. All we need to do is take the knowledge that we have and put it to use. And we can end the epidemic of chronic disease in America, and we can all live longer, happier, healthy lives, free of disease, free of disability. And isn't that what we all want?
Yeah.
If we don't do this, and if we don't do this immediately, and I'm going to challenge each of you to become a raving mad proselytizer, because if we don't do this, we're going under. For those of you who don't know the economics, the United States is bankrupt, and this is going to catch up with us shortly, and life for every American will change dramatically for the worse. We don't want this to happen. We have to stop it from happening. The only way I know how is to stop disease. Now, I go to meetings. I spoke at a meeting in Rome last year, a United Nations meeting in Rome. All the people from around the world bring in their charts, and they bring in their diagrams, and they say, you know, here's the numbers. So this is arithmetic. It's not rocket science. This is arithmetic. The population of the world is aging. Population of the United States is aging. 10,000 Americans are retiring every single day. At the end of 3 months, 1 million Americans have retired. Yeah, wow. And those million people expect that somebody's going to send them a check, a Social Security check,
Yeah, I want to keep
and
getting
they
more.
expect that somebody's going to pay for their health care. Dream on. There is no money. We are broke. Now, the economists say, we can fix this. And they trot out all the charts and they say, raise the retirement age to 79 immediately. Yeah, appropriate response, you're laughing. And immediately cut Social Security payments, and immediately cut Medicare payments, and immediately double the federal income tax. So the economists have it all figured out. If we do that, the numbers come out okay. Now,
Right.
here's a quiz. Which presidential candidate is running on that platform?
0.
0. You got it.
Maybe Donald Trump.
So, very simply, well, God bless him if he does. Very simply, that's the economic fix, or the fix we're in. We can't pay the monthly bills. The federal government does not have enough money to pay the monthly bills, so it has to borrow money and has to print money to pay the bills. And every day, more people retire. So the costs go up every day, but the revenues don't go up every day. And so it's just getting worse and worse and worse. We have the biggest debt in the history of the world. Our unfunded liabilities are between $100 and $200 trillion. Can't be paid. No way it can be paid. I've talked to a congressman about this, and I said, you know, we can't pay any of this. We don't have the money. He whacked his hand on the table. He said, we're going to pay every dime we owe. And then he sat back in the chair and he said, might not be able to buy anything with the money, but we're going to pay every dime we owe. So he knows what's going to happen. We're going to run the printing presses, and we're going to pay every dime we owe, but it won't be worth anything. You can take your Social Security check and buy a tank full of gas, and that's it. For those of you who lived through inflation in the 70s, that's only a taste of what's to come. So my solution is, if we look at the numbers, and I've talked to the economists, if we look at the numbers, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is the cost of disease. We can't pay Social Security. We don't have any money to pay Social Security. The cost, the unfunded liabilities of Medicare are more than 6 times the unfunded liabilities of Social Security. So you see where the problem is. The problem's in the cost of disease. The economists say if we can cut the cost of disease in half, we can salvage the situation. We will not solve it. What we'll do is take a catastrophic situation and make it into a manageable situation. So if we cut the cost of disease in half, we can make this thing manageable. We only have a short time left, very short time left. So you've all got to take personal responsibility for your health. You've got to then talk to your family, to your friends, to your neighbors. You've got to start a wildfire here, because if we don't do this very rapidly, the thing is going to catch up with us and overwhelm us, and it's going to be doomsday. Talk about Donald Trump. In his original speech, he said, for the economists he's talked to say that 24 trillion on the debt is the tipping point from which there's no return. And we are rapidly approaching the 24 trillion tipping point. And when he says there's no return, all the other economists are saying exactly the same thing. We're going down the tubes. So we have to do something. And the thing to do is to stop disease, stop the cost of disease. We can do it because we know how. We have the knowledge we already have is sufficient to end the epidemic of chronic disease. And so we need to take this knowledge, we need to teach it to everybody, teach it to our children, teach it to our neighbors and our friends and family. And the Great American Health Hoax is essentially a textbook. It tells you exactly how to do that. And I do have some for sale, and they're $15. And I do have a few copies of Never Feel Old Again, and they're also $15. At this point, I'm going to end my presentation and take questions. And you probably have questions. I'm sorry to dump all this on you because it's not good news. But you're intelligent people, and we need to have people reacting to this so that we can do something to save ourselves. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a question, but I've got people that, good friends that have come down with cancer, that have been vegetarians, that have been meditators, that have been detoxers, that have been doing everything they can.
1 year, right there.
Everything they can, and I'm not just talking about Tom. I've got and I just can't get over it. All of a sudden, bam! I have 3, 4 friends like this,
Yeah,
and they are not the people. I mean, they're the ones like me that's doing everything they can. And you think, well, shit, you're doing everything you can, and still this happens. You know?
Well,
it's like, what the hell?
They're
What do you say about
They're
that?
doing everything they know how.
Right.
They're
That's
not
right.
doing everything they can.
You're
Well-
doing, can I speak to that? for a
Yes.
minute? I was doing everything, I made a lot of changes
Yeah.
in the middle of May. And that means that I was doing things before then that I'm not doing now.
Yeah.
And I'm doing things now that I wasn't doing then. All right? So I had made a lot of changes, but I mean, I had a lot of good habits, but I had some bad ones too. All right? And I think these people you're talking about who look like they shouldn't be getting sick are like that. And you know what those bad habits are.
Not my friend. I mean, if you're
Well,
saying
I want to tell you,
20%
if I were to
toxicity, they may be
interview, if I
2%.
were to interview your friends, within 20 minutes I could probably figure out how they got the cancer.
Macrobiotic, I mean, all these various things. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, that's.
So what is it? So what is it?
Well, cancer is a complex disease, and there are many ways in which to cause it. But ultimately, you can always find what is causing it. The bottom line of cancer is it's an oxygen deficiency disease. It's a deficiency of oxygen metabolism at the cellular level. That's the common denominator in every cancer cell. So it doesn't matter what kind of cancer you have. Our doctors love to give names, silly names to things. There's only one disease. So how can there be more than one kind of cancer? There isn't. There's only one disease.
Okay.
And cells malfunction. A cancer cell malfunctions in a way that reduces its ability to produce energy using oxygen. And so it is a deficiency of oxygen metabolism at the cellular level. So to prevent cancer, you have to prevent the deficiency of oxygen metabolism, and to cure it, you have to restore oxygen metabolism to the cell. And when you do that, the cancer just poof, goes away. So they should buy copies of my book. Yeah, I have some postcards, where the postcards go. Yeah, and they give them a copy of the postcard, and the books and things are on there. But and anybody else who wants postcards, you can just pass them around.
Yeah, let's
whatever.
pass them around.
And there's my website on there, and you can, if you go to my website, you can sign up for a free newsletter. It comes out once a week, it's free. And you can also sign up for a couple of free reports that are very, very instructive. And then all my books are on there as well. And so,
What would you say are the top 5 things for cancer reversing to do?
reversing.
Yeah. Well,
Well, number one, pH. You've got to get the pH. You've got to normalize the pH. If you keep the pH normal, you probably won't get cancer. So these people, your friends, were not measuring their pH, and their pH was up.
I knew
Yes, she
I was
was.
acidic, and I was
She
patient
She
with
had
that.
the machine that made the pH water and
Oh, no,
whatever.
that's nonsense.
That doesn't do much.
Total nonsense.
I was doing that too.
So he was doing nonsense.
I know this woman is, I mean, I don't want to focus on her, but I think that if we got to focus in so tightly that we just deviate a little bit and we're going to get cancer, this woman was focused as much as I've ever seen anybody, and and boy, that means I don't have a chance in hell.
Guaranteed.
No, you gotta watch your thoughts and your
Yeah.
emotions.
Well, I know, that's
Can I
the
say-
thing.
Can I-
let's have the one
Can I
person
say,
talking.
can
please.
I say something?
Yes.
You know, I am just starting in the last week and changing my food and supplements and all. And right now it's just fruit, vegetables, and protein.
That's good, this one's not good.
Yeah, so, but what I want to say is I know how important fuel is to the body. I have some things going on that I want to correct before it's too late. But in all this, the people that do everything or most things right, there's a lot that goes with it. Like you said, there are our thoughts. Our thoughts are
Yes.
so powerful. Our feelings, our
Oh, yeah.
beliefs,
Yes.
the people we surround ourselves with, the collective,
Yes, all of that.
the collective
Science of my
consciousness,
minister.
the love, the
Oh, yeah.
ability to love, to forgive. All of those things are at least equally, if not more important, the physical part of it,
So,
And when these things happen, so many people say afterwards,
well,
It was
I've
the greatest-
I've seen
It's
many,
healing the
many
mind.
cancer patients, needless to say, and many, many people write me and call me. They say, I read your book and I'm totally cured. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. So this happens all the time. So I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people say, well, I did everything right.
yeah,
And then you ask them questions and you find out all the things they're doing very wrong. So you need the knowledge. You see, that's the problem. We don't come with the maintenance manual. And so people do what they think is right, but it isn't.
Right.
She was using this pH water machine. Nonsense, total nonsense. So it doesn't work. So pH, very, very important for anybody. You have to, you see, the chemistry that goes on inside the cell, there's a lot of enzymes, in other words, metabolic machinery in the cell, that operate at a certain pH. If you change the pH, you can shut down that machinery. So by changing the pH, you can shut down critical machinery. Well, your body's going to suffer when you do that. There's another problem, and that's signaling molecules. Your RNA produces protein molecules that go around the body and give instructions to the body. They're signaling molecules. They give instructions. Well, and the shape of the molecule is critical to the instructions that it gives. If you change the pH even slightly, you can change the shape of the protein molecule and then give very, very funny instructions to your genes.
Did you look in the car?
So the pH is critical, and everybody needs to do this, and most of the people in our society today are too acidic. So you need to measure your pH. If you go to beyondhealth.com, you can buy a roll of pH paper. It costs $10, lasts about a year. You can measure, and then if you get a copy of the Great American Health Hoax, it tells you exactly how to manage your pH and why it's important. You can manage one of the most important parameters in your body for a penny a day. It's just so simple, it's so simple. So that's number one, not only for cancer, but for any health problem. Number two for cancer is oils. You have to change your oils.
Right.
If you have cancer, you need an oil change. You've been eating the oils in our society, and the oils in our society will give you cancer. In fact, let's take all a mental trip right now down to a local supermarket and get down to the aisle and look at the oils on the shelves there. And they usually have lights on them, and they look beautiful, the clear bottles and the light shining through them. Every one of those oils will give you cancer. And then go down the aisle just a little bit, and they have salad dressings. Well, guess what's in the salad dressings?
No.
Those same oils. Same oils.
Every salad dressing at Trader Joe's, all those yummy dressings, first ingredient's canola oil.
And canola oil will give you cancer. So all of those oils will give you cancer. So don't eat them. And then when you buy processed foods, they've got those oils in them. Don't eat them. So if you have cancer, you need an oil change as quickly as possible. You have to get off of all the bad oils, get on all the good oils in large quantity. You're probably familiar with the Johanna Budwig's therapy, are you?
No.
No, well, you should be. You should research her.
What is it called?
Budwig. Budwig. Her first name was Johanna. She was a chemist, like myself. She operated in Germany, and for many, many, many years, I had many nice conversations with her. And when my brother first came down with cancer, one of the first things I did was call Johanna and ask her for help. And she very generously never charged me a dime for anything. She was just an angel. But Johanna Budwig determined many, many, many decades ago, I think back in the 30s, that these oils cause cancer and that you need an oil change. And she started giving cancer patients a mixture of flaxseed oil and a particular type of like cottage cheese. And she had spectacular cure rates, like an 85% cure rate.
Wow.
It's called the Budwig protocol. And I put my brother on the Budwig protocol on the front end. Change your pH, change your oil.
What are the good oils? If all the...
Well, if you want a brand name,
Or type,
Coconut
like coconut
oil.
oil.
well, no, titles don't work because then you buy junk. Udo's Choice, UDO''S, Udo's Choice,
That's the brand name?
brand name.
Yeah.
Is that with a Y?
They have it at the health food store.
UDO''S.
They make bread too, don't they?
No, that's
Is
Udi's.
it the same one?
Yeah, it sounds
It's
similar, but
Udi's.
it's different.
Okay.
And
That's not good.
And
Barlean's flaxseed oil.
Okay.
They make one that's a high lignin, Barlean's flaxseed oil, Barleans.
Coconut oil?
No, it's a flaxseed oil.
Yeah. She's
But
asking
I mean,
me
is
about
coconut oil,
Yes, you can use coconut oil, and I happen to make one of the finest coconut oils in the world, so go to my website if you want really good stuff.
And oil should only be in glass.
And should be in glass, that is correct. I also make some of the best olive oil in the world, so.
You don't rely on Mariani anymore?
No, we buy from olive oil, like anything, is an agricultural product.
Yeah.
And so depending on rainfall and sunshine and other unknown factors, temperature, every year you'll get a different harvest with different levels of antioxidants. And so what we do is we go around and we find the best oil. We have a supplier up in Oregon, we have a supplier in Greece, we have a supplier in Israel, and we put the best of the best together. Back, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, University of California did a study, and they looked at our oil. Our oil had the highest antioxidant content of any oil. And so we call it supplement grade, because we keep the antioxidant level very, very high by only buying the best of the harvest that has the highest antioxidant content.
And you know, lots of olive oil now is mixed with other oils. It's not
That is
pure oil
correct.
anymore.
It's almost impossible to buy
Yeah.
olive oil. You cannot buy olive oil at a supermarket.
Yeah,
That is given. There's no olive oil in a supermarket. You can't buy any. You can't even buy it at Whole Foods. That same study, by the way, looked at Whole Foods extra virgin olive oil. It was the bottom of the list. It was the worst oil they tested.
Oh, no.
Well, they've been known for
Garbage junk.
overcharging anyway.
So, in any event, it takes a lot of knowledge to buy good stuff. But it's all available in my books and my websites, and a huge amount of knowledge. So here we go. How do we do the cancer? We have the pH, the oils, and
Sugar.
oh, sugar. Well, you must get off of sugar. Sugar is a deadly, deadly poison. And we eat it all the time, and we even feed it to our children. And that's why we have 10-year-olds who are 45 years old. Every time you eat sugar, even 1 teaspoon of sugar, you get older. So if you want to get old, eat sugar. How old do you want to be?
Yeah.
It's up to you. But probably the single largest reason that these 10-year-olds are 45 years old is because of the amount of sugar they're eating.
Oh, yes.
Sugar ages you very rapidly. And sugar lowers your immunity, makes you susceptible to infection.
diabetes.
Sugar throws all your hormones into chaos, and everybody in our society has unbalanced hormones. Sugar gives you heart disease, gives you cancer, and sugar, cancer cells eat sugar. That's their food. It's their only food. So if you have cancer, you want it to grow, eat sugar, and then the cancer will grow. So if you don't, then don't eat sugar and starve the cancer, and instead eat a lot of vitamin C. A lot of vitamin C. And the vitamin C, the receptor site for the sugar is the same receptor site for vitamin C. So we have a lot of vitamin C out here. The vitamin C is going to get those receptor sites and block the sugar from going in. So lots and lots of vitamin C, very important for cancer patients, very important for everybody. But if you want to be sick, eat sugar. If you don't, then don't eat it. I don't eat it. I do eat it about four times a year, usually a special, a birthday or something. But
You're
4
saying-
times a year, not 4 times an hour.
You're saying lots of vitamin C. How much vitamin C are you talking about?
I take 15, sometimes 16 grams a day.
Okay.
Wow. 15
What about the xylitol sugar? Is that bad too?
What kind?
Xylitol.
Xylitol.
Well, I think in maybe small moderation, it's probably okay, but I wouldn't do a lot of it.
Yeah.
What about stevia?
The stevia is
No.
okay. Stevia is okay.
Coconut
It's good.
sugar.
But sometimes stevia has sugar in it. You have to get one that
Yeah,
doesn't have
pure.
sugar in it.
How about coconut sugar?
Again,
Which is low glycemic.
okay in moderation. Even a little bit of honey is okay in moderation. But you have to understand, there's only a couple of, in your blood, there's only a couple of teaspoons of sugar. So if you eat a couple of teaspoons of sugar, you're going to double the amount of sugar in your blood. That's a catastrophe. That is a biological catastrophe. And a soda has, 10 or 12 grams in it. 10 or 12 teaspoons. 10 or 12 teaspoons. So that's a catastrophe. It's a biological catastrophe.
Okay. Since May 15th, I've had one piece of candy. I discovered that there's one time when I can eat a little bit of sugar and it won't hurt me. That's when I'm getting an IV vitamin C drip. and which shoots up your insulin levels so high that you have to be careful you're not going to go into insulin shock at the rate of the drip. And so at that point, I'm so full of insulin that I can have my little piece of candy. Safely.
Oh,
There you go.
What a discovery.
oh.
Yeah, I do a lot of herbs and vitamins,
Yeah.
and I don't know what's
Well,
your thoughts about that.
my thoughts, first of all, herbs are very complex in that there are hundreds and hundreds of chemicals in an herb. We don't really understand it all or what they do. Nobody does. But basically, herbs push an equation in one direction or another, so you're pushing something. You shouldn't have to push anything. If you get this cell operating as God intended it to operate, you don't have to push it. And then everything is working fine.
Right.
And then you say you take vitamins. The problem is most vitamins are junk. So you have to be really, really, really careful what you're taking. And if you look at this postcard, there's a free report here called the Roadmap to Supplements. Download that free report, and it will teach you how to look for what is good and what isn't. And right now, for example, I used to sell the highest quality vitamin C in the world, and we still do, I think. But the problem with getting that now is just incredible because the Chinese have put all the Europeans out of business. So all the vitamin C in the world now, except for a tiny little bit, is coming out of China. And they're not making it right. They're making a lot of junk. And unless you really maneuver in that, and it's been a nightmare for me for the last couple of years, I put untold amounts of time into it.
You talked about this last time you were here.
Yeah.
And it's still a problem. It's still a problem, and it's still a nightmare. Getting harder and harder and harder to get things, high-quality stuff. And the FDA is trying to shut down the vitamin industry, so it's getting harder and harder to get things made.
Well, in Germany, I hear you have to have a prescription to get
Right.
a supplement.
That's right.
Oh,
And that's the way they want it to
Wow.
be here.
Right.
Right.
So the only thing that will be legal would be something like a Centrum, which is totally useless.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay, because vitamins prevent disease and
Because
vitamins
somebody
cure
wants
disease.
us to be sick.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
called-
That's where the money is. Money's not in healthy people.
That's right.
It's in sick people.
I have a question. Is there some key points into helping us not be so fatigued and tired?
Yes,
What would be the key points?
the key point is this. First of all, you have to understand that everything runs on energy, and so do you. So probably the single most important measurement of someone's health is how much energy they can make. And I actually have a doctor friend who lives out in Carson City, Nevada, who actually measures how much energy you can produce. When things start to go wrong, your energy production is so complex and so dependent on so many factors that that's usually the first thing that starts to go. It's usually the first thing you start to notice is that your level of energy decreases.
Yeah.
Now, in some people, it decreases so slowly they don't notice it. Mine decreased fairly rapidly, and I went to my doctor at age 46. I went to my doctor, and I said, I don't have the energy I used to have. And I mean, I was living on jet planes back then. I mean, I had to get on an airplane in Boston and fly to Tokyo, and get off the plane in Tokyo, get into a limousine, go into a meeting immediately. No rest, no change of clothes, you're there, boom. You need energy to do that. And when you don't have energy, you're dragging your tail. I was dragging my tail. I complained to the doctor. The doctor did thousands of dollars worth of testing. I came back for the next meeting, and he sat behind his desk, and he gleefully announced that I was in perfect health.
Yeah.
Perfect health. Because all of his tests showed I was normal. Well, the problem is, they don't know how to measure health when it's in its initial decline. They don't have a clue, not a clue.
That's right.
So I said, Doc, you know, if I'm in perfect health, how come I feel this way? He said, you're getting older.
Yeah, that's their
Yes.
answer for everything.
Yeah.
I said,
Yes.
I worked out this way
That's-
before my whole life.
That's-
He said, you've never been this old before. So 46 years old, he was saying, I was too old and that's why I was tired.
That's
Right.
And
BS.
and this man was a professor at Harvard Medical School.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the level of ignorance is just so colossal. They literally don't have a clue. If you don't have boundless energy, you're sick, period. So what do you have to do? You have to start looking fundamentally at delivering your job. You remember who you are. You're the person that
Maintain
delivers
the
the
body.
groceries. So you have to start delivering the groceries, and you have to get the toxins out. When you do that, the energy production just soars. And once I shifted back into repair mode, my energy levels just soared. So I went from not being, I was actually at one point unable to move. That's how little energy I had. I was unable to move. One morning I woke up and my neck was at a funny angle and it was hurting me. And so I wanted to move my head and I could not move my head, couldn't move. That's how little energy I had. And now I just go, 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 go. I bounce all over the world. And I don't stop. And today, busy. I got up at 4:30 this morning. We're just, you know, I'll be done at 11 o'clock tonight, and I'm still going strong.
Can you speak to exercise at all, or exercise?
Exercise it absolutely well. Very good. Good point. So how do we keep you in repair mode? So how do we keep you young? How do we keep you healthy? Well, one, do your job, deliver the groceries. Two, get the toxins out of your life. Three, you have to move and stretch the cell. And the reason for that is that when you move and stretch the cell, you facilitate delivering the groceries and you facilitate removing the toxins.
Fluid movement.
Fluid movement.
Fluid.
And so moving and stretching the cell is essential to health. And the bottom line is, if you're not moving, you're dying. And that's why people in hospitals who aren't moving are really dying. You've got to be moving. Our bodies were designed for, survival. When our genes were designed, survival depended on lots of physical movement. Today, okay, we sit around the house, we sit in the car, we sit behind the computer, we do, and nobody wants to do the terrible E word because that's nasty. So we don't do that. So we're not moving and stretching ourselves. Now, there's a way to cheat, and that's with rebounder.
Right, that's fun.
And
What?
a rebounder.
Yeah. What's
It's a little
that?
mini
Trampoline,
trampoline.
Trampoline.
Yeah, you can check it out on our website. And that moves and stretches every cell in your body simultaneously. So even 15, 20 minutes a day is like magic. Magic. Because no other exercise moves and stretches every single cell in the body simultaneously.
Wow. Right.
What about that machine? I have a machine that you put your foot in and it like shakes you. Is that a good movement
Full
thing?
body
I
vibration machine.
don't know if anybody's measured
balance.
how that works. So I have to plead ignorance. I
Go
don't
by
know.
how you feel.
I don't know.
I haven't really done it, but I think that would be a good thing to put on my list and do it. Do it.
It may be more expensive than a rebounder, but
Well, I already have it, so.
Can you give us the one disease and two reasons? Is that what it is?
the
One
one
disease and two?
disease is a malfunctioning cell,
Okay, right,
and the two causes are deficiency and toxicity.
okay.
Now, this is a simple concept because
Yeah.
if the doctor says, "Oh, you have diabetes," what do you know about diabetes? So if you come back and say, "Doc, what I really have is malfunctioning cells because they're deficient and toxic," that puts you in charge.
Okay, I have another question. Oh, go ahead, Ed.
Can you speak to mitochondria aging? You know, there's these kind of new
He was-
supplements coming out. They said they can actually get your energy back. They're actually affecting your mitochondria.
Well, the mitochondria are, you know, inside the cell. Here you have the biggest industrial park on the entire planet inside a single cell with thousands and thousands and thousands of factories making products, hundreds, even thousands of powerhouses powering all these factories and keeping you warm. And these powerhouses are called mitochondria. And that's where the energy is produced. People love to sell products, and they're always inventing new ones, and I kind of laugh at them. And so they have something for your mitochondria, and there's something for this and something for that. So you know.
Do you know if any of those are effective to any degree?
They may be.
I've read some reviews of people taking some, and there are people in their 40s. They say, "I feel like I'm in my 20s now," and some people said it didn't affect me at all. You know.
Yeah, well, maybe, but here's your responsibility. You deliver the groceries. Forget about all of, you know, this and the that and the other thing. Your job is to deliver the groceries. If you deliver the groceries, the cell's going to work just fine.
Right.
So you said food, delete the toxins and move to stretch the cells. Were there any others besides that?
No,
Stretch-
those are the three.
Okay.
Oh, there were 5.
What was
What was the second?
I've been having trouble delivering the
Get rid of the
groceries,
toxins.
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that one.
which is called digestion.
Digestion,
So do you have some
absorption.
tips on that?
Absorption.
Well,
And I know
yes.
I'm not, I know I'm not absorbing.
Most Americans have digestive issues because virtually every American has taken an antibiotic.
Yes.
Once you take an antibiotic, you are sick for the rest of your life and you'll never be
I'm
healthy again.
still dealing with it.
And the more times you take an antibiotic, the worse it gets. So we're all screwed up. It depends on how screwed you are.
Is there any hope?
Well, there are ways of, you can never be completely well. We've now established this. You can never be completely well again because the microbiome in you is unique to you.
Right.
Your biochemistry is unique to you. It's called biochemical individuality. That's based on your genes. So your biochemistry is unique to you. Your biome is unique to you and supports your biochemistry. Your biome is as unique to you as a fingerprint.
Good.
Nobody else in the world has the same assortment of bugs. Once you drop down an atom bomb and blow these people up, you can never again assemble that unique assortment.
Okay.
We measure primitives. Primitives have about 30,000 different kinds of bugs in their tummy. You measure an American, they have about 3,000. Now where's the other 27,000? And they're all necessary for your health. Now, sometimes we get overgrowths of really bad stuff.
Yeah,
And sometimes we get yeast overgrowths and things like that.
yeah.
And you can handle those things. You can handle them in different ways. I have a friend over in Walnut Creek, a doctor, and she has something called a Rife machine. And the Rife machine can handle a lot of those problems. For example, if you have a yeast infection and you're having a hard time getting rid of it, you can sit in front of the Rife machine for an hour and probably solve the problem.
What's it called? How do you spell right?
R-I-F.
R-E-I-F.
But there are
What
a
is
lot
it?
of
That's right.
bad
There's a
Rife
gazillion Rife
machines.
machines
Yes,
out
there
there.
are.
Precisely.
So,
And,
What are they?
And
What
they
are
were
they?
banned in the United States.
What are they?
well, that's because Dr.
They
Rife.
work.
Yeah,
That's
they work.
What
yeah,
are-
because
what
they
are
work.
Are
They
they
work.
electromagnetic things or what are they?
It's electromagnetic, yeah.
Okay.
It's a frequency generator.
So they put out all these ones that don't work. They let those come out.
Yeah. Well, what Rife discovered is that perhaps you've heard the story or seen a crystal, a glass made of lead crystal, beautiful glass. you can produce a sound of the correct frequency, and that sound will resonate with the glass, cause it to vibrate, and self-destruct. Are you aware of that? Okay, so you can have a crystal glass self-destruct just sitting there on the table by hitting it with the correct wavelength of sound.
Memorex commercial.
Well, as it turns out, everything has a resonance level. Everything resonates at a particular frequency. And likewise, a yeast will resonate at a particular frequency. A bacterium will resonate, even a parasite will resonate at a particular frequency. A cancer cell will resonate at a particular frequency. And so what Rife did is he produced this frequency generator, and he exposes you to the frequencies. And if you have yeast, he'll give it the frequency for yeast, and it will cause the yeast to self-destruct just like the crystal glass. If you have cancer, it'll cause the cancer cell to self-destruct just like glass. So Rife was bringing this to he was curing cancer and doing wonderful things, and the AMA discovered it, and the head of the AMA went to Rife and said, we want to buy this machine. And Rife said, I don't want to sell the machine, I just want to give it to the world. Well, wrong answer.
I'm killing you for that. Sorry.
So they prosecuted Rife and they persecuted Rife, and they finally he had to flee the country. He went down to Mexico and opened a laboratory in Mexico to continue his research. And then they sent goons down and they burned his laboratory down.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And he lost all of his papers and research materials. Lost all, And Rife, I forget how he died. It was awful. But he was just a broken man, and a man who had invented a cure for cancer.
Yeah, Dr. Brzezinski.
He became an alcoholic, and they went in and destroyed his lab. But one of the women that he worked with him is the one that redesigned the machine. And then that was produced. And the doctor in LA and Long Beach was getting ready. He used it and was ready to give the report, and he was poisoned before he could give the report.
Well, it's not your side effect. Don't worry about it.
I don't get it.
I appreciate that you bringing up what's going on in the country. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. I don't want to focus on it and create fear, but I think it's really important to know what's going on and to not be fearful about it. I don't know what I would do when I get Social Security and Medicare. I don't know what I would do without it. But all of this is something that really needs to be addressed before we're really afraid.
Yes, it needs to be addressed, and the time is short.
Yeah.
We have an election coming up. Keep that in mind when you're voting. The people in Washington who want to just keep spending money and spending and spending and spending, there's no money to spend. We're already broke. So it's not a happy situation, and everybody knows this. I mean, we're having international meetings on it, with top economists and people all talking about what's happening and how it's happening and why it's happening, and all the demographics of how the aging population, how many people are getting to be so many age. By 2050, which is not too far away, there's going to be more old people in the world than young people.
Right, I heard that this week.
Then 10 years later,
By
it's
2040, there's going to be more 80-year-olds in America than preschool children.
By 2040?
No, by 2040, yeah. And by 2030, just 15 years from now, by 2030, there'll be 4 items on the budget: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and federal pensions will consume all federal revenues. There will not be a penny left for the military. There won't be a penny left to pay the federal payroll. There will not be a penny left for anything. So you see what's happening. We are rapidly approaching a situation that is untenable, that it just cannot be sustained, unsustainable. The Congressional Budget Office says It is economically, the path we are on is economically unsustainable. That's how they word it.
It's logical.
Right.
Any more on delivering the groceries?
Yeah.
Is there such a
I
thing
heard-
as organic? I mean, how could it really be organic if all the other fields are full of
Well,
toxins?
everything's relative.
Right,
The organic is better.
right, okay.
That's the best. Getting back, yeah, you, the digestive issue is complex. Digestive enzymes are very helpful. Again, hard to find good ones. Digestive enzymes are helpful. Even extra hydrochloric acid can be helpful in the digestion. But, and probiotics can be helpful. Basically what you need is a high fiber diet with probiotics. And Americans eat low fiber diets. And the fiber feeds the bugs, feeds the good bugs.
How many grams of fiber is considered high fiber to you?
50, 60 grams. I think the average American gets 30 or something like that.
Oh, really? That much?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, primitives have enormous amounts of fiber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
And that's the way our digestive system was designed. I mean, they have the same genes. So we're trying to do something we can't do. We have all our processed foods, and there's no fiber in the processed foods. And we don't eat enough fresh food. It's a big problem. And then, of course, we put chlorine in the water, and the chlorine destroys good bugs. So we eat a low-fiber diet, we put chlorine in the water, we take antibiotics. We're doing everything possible to kill ourselves, and it's working.
The fluoride is in the San Jose water.
So,
And now we have fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Anything about fluoride you want to?
yeah, it's a disaster. Fluoride will give you osteoporosis. Fluoride lowers your immunity. Fluoride lowers your IQ. Fluoride causes cancer. Pretty bad stuff.
And it's in all the water that you run through your alkaline ionizer. And it's still in it when the water comes out the alkaline ionizer. That's why my ionizer is in the cupboard, and I'm buying RO water from the best source I know right now.
Yeah. So people think they're doing what's right, but they're not. Fluoride is a very powerful cause of cancer, an enormously powerful cause of cancer.
And I knew this before I had cancer, and I didn't do anything about it. I stuck with my ionized water. As soon as I had cancer, I went through Raymond's book. There it was, that nice little section on fluoride, a nice little page and a half on fluoride.
Reverse
Who's your
We can
friend?
all
That
do
means
better.
reverse osmosis?
Yeah, reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis will get rid of the fluoride.
And they have cartridge
Okay.
filters that help work too.
No, they do not touch
Oh, the
fluoride.
cartridge
No, we don't take
We
fluoride out.
we have a distiller,
Usually not.
so we
There's some
distill
that they claim
all
they
of
do.
it.
Distills okay.
Yeah.
Cartridge
Distills
filters, some
okay, yeah.
claim they do, that they
And then
take the
put our own
fluoride out.
minerals in.
Well,
Yes.
they may take some out, but I don't think they take, reverse osmosis takes about 97% of the fluoride out.
That's weird.
So you still get a little bit. But some people are so overloaded today because they've got it in the water, they're brushing their teeth with fluoride toothpaste.
Showering.
Right.
Yeah, and all the rest of it.
The other thing is all this junk is stored in little tiny places in my cells, waiting for the opportunity when my cleansing system is up to the release of that stuff into my body. So you don't just suddenly start being clean when you stop putting in crap. I'm carrying around years of crap that needs to gradually clean out. And as it cleans out, guess what? All of those cancer cells get exposed to all those toxins.
Yeah.
And there's three things you need to do with the toxins. Read my books, identify where they are. I tell you where they are. So identify where they are. Stop putting them in your body. So that's number one. Stop putting toxins in your body. Number two, deliver the groceries to your body's detoxification system. Because if you have a molecule of a pesticide that can harm you, and you present it to the body because you're eating regular food, the body needs like about 20 molecules to take this one apart and render it harmless. Well, where do you get the other molecules? You have to deliver the groceries. So you need to learn what kind of groceries you need to deliver to the detoxification system and make sure that you're delivering adequate raw materials to the detox system so that this molecule doesn't survive and poison you. Vitamin C is critical. Foods like broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables, have detoxification molecules in them. Eat a lot of broccoli and Brussels sprouts and things like that.
Can you mention a good source for vitamin C since it's so hard to find good quality?
Yeah, you
He's
can
got
buy
it.
mine, Beyond Health brand.
Do you sell enzymes?
Oh, yeah,
We do, we
everything.
sell
We
enzymes.
sell everything.
Is your site on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, one, stop putting the toxins in. Two, support the body's detoxification system. And three, remove stored toxins.
Remove stored toxins.
Yeah,
Right.
ones
Right,
that you
that's what
already
I'm going
have.
through right now.
And the only way the most efficient way we know how to do that is with saunas. Now, I sauna twice a week
What is it?
for
Sauna.
60 to 90 minutes,
Far
twice a week.
infrared rays.
Wow,
And
wow.
if we measure the average person for toxins, they're overloaded, absolutely overloaded with toxins. And so they're getting cancer from the overload of toxins. We measure me, we can't find any.
So you're sweating them out through your
You're
sweat
sweating them
glands.
out, precisely, sweating them out. I've been sauning now for 30 years. And I still sauna twice a week for 60 to 90 minutes.
Steam, dry, does it make any difference?
No, you need dry. And infrared is a better, dry infrared is a good way to go.
What is the difference between the dry and the wet as far as the results go? What is the wet?
Well, the wet,
side?
the whole thing is that if you raise the temperature, you sweat. So, and the more you raise the temperature, the more you sweat. So, losing water is temperature dependent. You don't want to lose water. What you want to lose is fat, because that's where the toxins are stored. You can get rid of water-soluble toxins in your urine. You don't need to do it through your sweat, you can do it in your urine. The thing you can't get rid of is the toxins stored in your fat. The only way we know how to get rid of them is with the sauna. And that is not temperature dependent, that is time dependent. And so the difference is if you go into a wet sauna, you sweat too much and you get too hot and you can't spend time in it.
Right.
And that's why it's not good and that's why it doesn't work. You need to go where you can spend time because getting rid of the fat is time dependent.
What's the temperature of the sauna that you
It's, mine is 110, 115. I lie on the low bench in my sauna, 110. So 110, 120, perfect.
Go down to
I-
Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo, bingo.
Yeah.
sit there and-
I've thought of sitting in my car on a sunny day.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's a way.
For how many minutes do you start out with?
In
Arizona?
Phoenix was 120 in the shade.
Yeah, that's what I'm
so-
saying.
I only started
And
out.
it's a dry heat.
Myself and-
But the
It
important
is.
thing is, see, if you go into a commercial sauna and you sit up here, it's 150
Yeah.
degrees. And that's bad, you don't want to do that. Down here, 110, 120, that's a temperature the body can normally see in the environment, and yet it's quite sufficient to cause you to lose the toxins. So everyone needs to detoxify, especially expectant mothers need to detoxify before they have children. We have children being born today with unimaginable problems. I mean, ADHD and autism and brain dysfunctions and all kinds, because the mother is so toxic, she's poisoning the child before it's born.
I know. all that
How many
alcohol.
minutes would be safe to start out with?
as much as you can tolerate, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. What you do is you do what you can do, and then just gradually build up.
Yeah, build up.
Just work your way out.
And your body will adapt and adjust and say, oh, okay, we're in the hot again, so I have to, and it'll
And you gotta drink a lot of water if you're gonna sweat a lot of water.
Yes, you gotta drink a lot of water.
Absolutely.
I'm drinking 15 glasses a day.
Oh, my goodness.
Put a little
Okay.
sea salt in it, it
Yes.
draws out the.
Yes, sea salt is very good. And you're absolutely right, because you lose salt when you sweat. So these are things, that's with with the toxins, is stop putting them in, support the body's detoxification chemistry, and then take the toxins, the stored toxins out, reduce the stored toxins. And today, you know, measure the average American, they've got between 300 and 500 chemicals they're stored, between 300 and 500 chemicals. And we have no idea how all of these interact. And believe me, we do know that when you start interacting, they become thousands of times more toxic than they are individually. And so we've got hundreds that are all acting in concert with each other. We have certain toxins now that are above the level at which we know cause disease in animals. We talk about pregnant women, flame retardants. Women now are so overloaded in flame retardants that they're poisoning every child they have.
Oh, in the clothes?
Deadly poison.
It's in the clothes or something?
It's in everything. You sit down on your sofa, you get a cloud of flame retardants coming up. You know, you close your drapes, there's a cloud of flame retardants coming off of them. You walk on your carpet, there's a cloud of flame retardants. That's why a lot of our pets are getting sick, because they walk on the carpets and they're close to it. The biggest single source in any home is around the computer.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the computer is loaded with flame retardants, and as the components in there heat up, they drive off the flame retardants. And the most contaminated part of the average house is around the computer.
Wow.
So as you sit there every day in front of the computer, you are being poisoned with the flame retardants, and that's why we have people that are over what we know causes disease in animals. So, and we don't feel it, we don't see it, we don't taste it, so therefore it doesn't exist, right? And unfortunately, it does exist. And again, people think they're doing everything right, but they're sitting in front of the computer getting those toxic flame retardants that will cause cancer.
So is it better not to use the computer in a kitchen?
Ventilate.
Yeah, with good ventilation, the more ventilation, you get better.
Okay. And what's the name of your friend with the Rife machine?
Dr. Jane, J-A-I-N.
J-A-N-N?
J-A-I-N.
Oh, J-A-I-N.
J-A-I-N, and first name Sue, S-U, and she's in Walnut Creek. And I forget the name of the center.
We can find her that way. Thank you.
And I'm going to be lecturing there on Saturday from 11 to 1 o'clock.
Right. I invited my sister. I have 2 stepsisters in Walnut Creek.
Fabulous.
I hope they
Fabulous.
come.
Well,
Yeah.
call them up and tell them they can't afford not to be there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Now, on showering, do you filter your water
Yes.
through the shower?
Yes,
head?
I actually sell a whole house. I sell shower filters and I sell a whole house filter. I have a whole house filter for my entire house.
For yourself?
Yeah. So the whole house filter filters out the chlorine and the chlorinated hydrocarbons. Then I have my own reverse osmosis system under the kitchen sink for the drinking water.
For those people who live in apartments, is it just a filter they can put on the shower?
Yes.
But
yes.
it doesn't take fluoride out, right?
No, it doesn't take the fluoride out, but it takes out the chlorine. But then they can put a reverse osmosis system under the sink for drinking water.
Drinking the water.
Yeah.
I had a friend who did lymph massage,
Yes.
and there's over 750 lymphs, and he taught me how to do lymph massage. He said especially women should be doing in the arms, around the breast, in the groins, and so forth every night. And I've taught people in the hospital how to do simple, just lymph massage, because they're stuck there
Sure.
anyway, so why not? And I told the nurse. And-
Well, the
and-
problem is they're stuck there. Nobody needs lymph massage. All you need to do is live the life that we used to live, where we were very physically active in order to survive. Nobody needed a lymph massage. You were doing physical activity. Now we need it because we don't do physical activity, and especially if you're in a hospital where you're not moving, it's critical.
Right.
The hospital should be doing it for you.
And you know, the other thing is, when I had my first knee replacement, they warned me that if I had any infection
Wait a
or
minute,
anything.
wait a minute.
If I had any infection that I needed before I had any dental work done, I should take antibiotics. And then they said, if you don't, if that knee gets infected, they will take it out and you will be with an open sore on a drip, because it didn't, heal. And so they scared the hell out of me, so every time I went for dental work, that's what I would do, would take antibiotics.
Well, the statistics show that that's completely false advice.
Wait a minute here.
Because of the
We're gonna end.
cardiomyocarditis.
I know we do. I know we do, but we want to end in a somewhat polite and organized fashion, if that's at all possible. If you have any parting words for us, and let's maintain our attention for another 15 seconds, and then we will thank Raymond and close, okay? Think we can manage that?
We sure can.
On a good note.
Yes,
Good note.
on an orderly note.
Now, the good news is that health is a choice, and if you choose it, you can actually become biologically younger and disease-free. And that's the good news, and it's wonderful news. So God bless, and
Thank you.
and here's a textbook that tells you how to do it.
Thank you, Raymond.
Awesome, Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you. What a fantastic presentation, which takes